Well, my life has been when I look back, has been quite an extraordinary series of synchronistic quote coincidences and bits of luck that have weaved me through many different professions and experiences up to where I am now. And one of them was, well, it really started when I was a kid. I was born on a council estate in Leicester, where my brother still lives actually. And I just wanted to be a footballer. What happened was that I was a kid that thought the best things in life happened to other people, right? Which is kind of not what I became in my attitudes, but I was then. And I remember I was at a junior school. I was only very small, and I saw this note on the door where you went into the school, and it was for kids to put their names down to have a trial for the school team. And of course I never put my name down because it was like, well, I'll never get in, so it ain't worth it. But what used to happen is we had a playground that was just slightly tilted from end to end, and we used to play football every playtime. And it used to be called uppers and downers, whether you were kicking up the little slope or down the little slope. And what I didn't know is the teacher that was looking after this. It was the third year football team, the first time you played football in a team, was watching me, and I always got attracted to being in goal. And so I'm walking or running home one night, the night before the trial, the next day, and I heard this kid shouting behind me, "Icke, Icke!" And he said, the teacher said, he wants me to have a trial the next day, even though I haven't put my name down. So I ain't got any boots. So I go home, we've got no money. I went home to the house where my brother still lives. And my father came home from work, and I told him, and I said, I ain't got any boots. So there was no Nike shops and Adidas shops in those days. So we walked down the hill to this little classic kind of little row of shops. And I'll never forget it. Of all the places in all the world, in this like sell anything shop was this pair of boots. And all I can tell you is they were massive, and they would have been ancient if you played for Arsenal in the 1930s. They had this massive toe cap on the front, and if you kick the ball with your toe cap, and I mean it went like a bullet. So they were about they must have been 3 sizes bigger than my feet, but there was nothing else. So I went to the trial the next day in these boots, and everyone was, laughing at me, which, I had quite got used to. And it came down to they had this shootout between me and a kid, even though I was a goalkeeper, to see who would get in the last place in the team. And of course, I did the best shot because I hit it with my toe cap. Mm-hmm. And so that was the start of my football career. And funnily enough, from that moment when I got in the team, this, early attitude in my life of these things happen to other people, that started to rapidly unravel. And I decided I wanted to be a footballer. And of course, people found that funny, you're going to be a footballer. But again, a series of coincidences and performing at just the right time in front of the right people got me to join Coventry when I left school at 15. And I thought I was going to be a footballer, and I was for a while. When I was 17, 18, we got to the final of the FA Youth Cup against Tottenham Hotspur with Graham Souness was in their team. Steve Perriman was in their team. We had a captain of our team was Dennis Mortimer, who would go on to captain Aston Villa to win the European Cup. I looked at that's what was going to happen. But then arthritis came along and finished my career at 21.
It must have been devastating, that, David, because I mean, you know, it's a dream. It's a lot of boys' dreams to play football, and you know, back in those days, of course, it wasn't the you know, a fortune-making game that it is now, but you know, still the ambition to play, and some of those names that you mentioned, as you say, went on to do great things.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest basic wage I ever earned in football was £33 a week. So, you know, I didn't have a mention, but. When my career ended, it was part deep disappointment, because this was my childhood gone. I'd worked for it all through my childhood, but there was a bit of relief as well. I'll tell you why. When I joined Coventry at 15, after about 6 months, my left knee swelled up. No one could work out why. And they said, well, you have no idea what's wrong with you, so carry on playing. So I did. And then over the years, my right knee swelled up, particularly the year after we got to the FA Youth Cup final. And then my ankle swelled up. And so it went on. And I left Coventry City thinking I was never going to play again. And then I got this call from a absolutely wonderful man called John Charles, the legend that is John Charles. Of course, he was known as the Gentle Giant, and he was massive, but he was a lovely guy, far too lovely to be a football manager, actually. And he was managing Hereford United at the time, and they were one of the top non-league teams who were trying to get in the league, but they only played they only trained twice a week in the evenings, because it was a non-professional club. And he asked me if I'll go and play for them, and I had nothing else to do, so I thought, yeah, I'll go. And in no time, you know, they'd got in the league, and I was playing professional football in what is now League Two. As a goalkeeper at the age of 19, 20, which was very, very, especially in those days, not quite so much now, but in those days it was very, very early to be a goalkeeper in a professional team, first team.
Yeah.
And we won promotion in our first year. I think we finished second. Went up to what is now League One. And in the close season, I'll never forget it, towards the end of what was happening every day, this is where there was a little bit of relief as well as great disappointment, is that the arthritis was still troubling me, but I wasn't going to tell Hereford. We were now a professional club in the league. Because they'd have said, well, we need a new goalkeeper. How long is he going to last? But every morning, we used to train at Credden Hill. You never do that today, but that was the SAS base, still is. We used to train there, great sports facilities. We used to train there. It was our training ground, basically. And every morning, especially in the winter when it was cold, well, you know, it's like at Newcastle. I've been I've trained up there in the northeast. It's bloody cold. And anyway, I would be running, warming up every morning, and I would be in agony because of the arthritis. And I became known as a bit of a hypochondriac, because I was giving them different reasons for why I was limping a bit, or I got a bit stiff. I'll be all right in a minute. When I'd warmed up, you know, things settled down and you train normally and everything, and then the adrenaline would get you through the games. And towards the end of that season, when we won promotion, I was 20 then. It went. The swelling went, the pain went. I thought, cracked it. And then we went into the close season, and this is what I'll never forget. I'm lying in bed. My wife of 29 years was next to me, Linda, and I started to wake up. And as I sort of woke up, I realized I couldn't move. I mean, couldn't move. I couldn't move at any muscle, any joint, nothing. And I was not able to breathe. I was struggling to breathe, thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
And then eventually I gasped a breath. It couldn't have been long for obvious reasons, but it seemed a long time. And the moment I gasped the breath, I was in absolute agony. Every joint was like someone sticking a knife in it. And so I went to bed a footballer, and I woke up never to play again, professional football again. And that's when I started my career in journalism. I got a job on a weekly paper that was just about read by the people that wrote it. You know, in that period you had Watergate, but my level of journalism in those days was Cowangate, because one of my jobs was to go around the local villages in Leicestershire, asking people in the local store and the local vicar if there was any news going on, you know. So I started at the bottom, to say the least. In fact, I must have dug down a bit and started below the bottom with it, really.